ACE is for honest dialogue, grounded insight, and steady leadership at home and in life. That's what it's for. I'm your host, Leonne Sherr, and let's get started. I have a guest here today, Dr. Sev Bryan. Let me just get the introduction just right because this woman's quite amazing. Dr. Sev Bryan is an accredited financial counselor and host of the Dr. Sev Money Talks podcast. Go check it out. She understands that for parents, chaos often has a dollar sign. And especially because she's had to rebuild her own finances after a late in life divorce, she brings both professional expertise and lived experience into the conversation about money, stress, and leadership at home. And so I'm so grateful that she has agreed to come and talk to us today. So, Dr. Sev, welcome so much. I am so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Um, I know you have a presentation for us, but before you launch into dropping that knowledge on us, can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay. I'd love to start with you. And so, what first drew you into financial counseling? And how did your own life experience kind of have you approach parents in this way?
Yeah, it's funny because it was not on my bingo card. It was not something I thought about doing, but I've always had an affinity for making things work, for making numbers work, make numbers make sense. And I've wanted to be a teacher all my life. Somehow I end up being an accountant and in different areas like tax, different parts of accounting. And while I was doing that, I was teaching personal finance at my church. Always been tagged. I want you to be the personal finance person at church. So I kind of leaned into that because I found that I enjoyed it. And then after my divorce, I became much more intentional because I had to use what I knew to rebuild my finances. And then I thought about as I approach a retirement, what can I do? Because I don't want to retire. I'll never retire. I'm a helper. And then it clicked. This is your second act. So I've been leaning into personal finance and teaching and educating women, especially to let them understand the power they have in money, the power they have if they could understand how the money market works and how they can be part of it. So it was a circular route, so to speak, but I'm glad that I'm here because I am enjoying it.
And I'm so glad that there's people like you out here because for a lot of parents, I mean, myself included, I think of the years when I was a single mom and I wasn't raised with financial acumen, knowledge. I just didn't have it. And I was, the way I was raised. And so it was rob Peter to pay Paul. If Paul could wait, let's go to dinner. There was a lot of that kind of living from chaos and not knowing causes a lot of shame. And there's a lot to learn. And yet there are some really simple things that I'm hoping that you will share with us today to kind of help people understand just really how to get started. So I know that you have something prepared, but before we do, is that what you're going to help us with today?
I- I'm hoping so because I'm trying to share a framework of things that we can do to calm the chaos. Because you mentioned about the shame, and I would speak to that person and say, there's no need to feel ashamed because none of us go through life without making a financial quote unquote mistake. And I don't call it a mistake, it's a learning example because we do the best we can with what we have.
Hmm.
And if you now have new information, there's no need to use that new information to beat yourself up about past decisions. You
Hmm.
did the best you could. So
Oh,
I'm
yes.
hoping that whatever I share will create some kind of calm in the chaos
Mhm.
of finance. And then, of course, they can ask me whatever questions they want.
Well, let me just tell you, we are live on Facebook right now, and so we have some people watching us. But those people get to see your presentation. The folks that are inside the Wonder Mama community will be joining us here on our Zoom call, and they will come up in a private Q&A after the live stream. So I know we have had some people just chomping at the bit to talk to you today. But before I keep you any longer, I would love to let you just take the reins and show us what you got.
Okay. All right, so give me a second to pull up my slides.
I think this is the part where I need a theme song in the middle.
Ah, all right, so let me go to here and share presentation, presenter view. All right, so I want to make sure that people are seeing my screen and seeing the presentation.
Yes, hold on one second. It looks like my Facebook is showing a little bit behind, but I think you can just go. Yep,
Okay,
your screen is clearly there.
okay, so I have titled this presentation the Enough Filter because I'm wanting to share a framework of us asking ourselves, am I enough? Am I doing enough? And how we can use that filter, how we can use that framework to settle ourselves. Yes, you are enough. Yes, you are doing enough. And what that really means. So we're tackling this question, which is an age-old question that parents ask. Am I doing enough? Yes, you are, because we don't want to compare ourselves to anybody else. So by the end of our time together, I'm hoping that you'll have a simple framework that will calm the noise. And I'll also share a grounding practice, a simple practice that you can use immediately.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, so before I jump into the information, I always like to share this. I am a financial professional, but I am not your financial professional. I want you to understand this because anything I share here is general in nature. I don't know your financial picture, and so I can't give an advice specific to your situation because that would be irresponsible. So what I
Thank you.
share is general in nature. I would have to know all of your financial situation before I can give you advice specific to you. Okay, that doesn't mean it's not valuable. It's just that,
Okay.
be careful how you apply the information.
I appreciate you giving us that reminder.
Yeah. So, Leonne has already introduced me, but I want to give you some quick snippets about who I am and why you should listen to me. So I have taught personal finance for over 25 years. I'm a retired accountant. I've presented at corporate workshops. I've been featured in NerdWallet and other places. I am an accredited financial counselor, and that means I'm a fiduciary. I have to be careful with you and the information I give you. It cannot benefit me. Okay. On the personal side, I rebuilt my finances after divorce at 57, and that was 8 years ago. Today, my credit score is in the 800s. It's not an 850 anymore. It's about 840 because it never stays there, but that's okay. It moves up and down with the whims of the credit bureaus, and that's another topic that I love to present on is credit. Anyway, I've rebuilt my emergency fund and my net worth, which allowed me to walk away from corporate America a little bit early. So I want you to understand that I'm not just sharing facts and figures, I'm sharing lived experience. So I'd like to kick off with an icebreaker. And
Okay.
I'd love for you to tell me what season of life you are in right now. And while you're thinking about it, I'll share mine. So it could be young kids at home. It could be the season where teens are keeping you busy with games and all of that. It could be that you're caring for aging parents, career transition, recently single. It could be any of those. For me, I am in a semi partial empty nest situation. figuring out what my retirement will look like. It always involved teaching personal finance. But my daughter just graduated from college in December, and so she is working at Sephora, and the market right now is trash, the employment market. So she is working. She started part-time, no, she's full-time at Sephora, which I'm not knocking it. She makes good money, so I'm not pushing her to go find the job that supports her degree. But that's where I am my in my season of life. So I'd love to hear from anybody else what your season of life is right now.
So, because nobody else is on with us that is allowed to come on screen just yet, I will answer you.
Okay.
I am in also, my husband and I are in the empty nester season and kind of relearning how to live life and do life, not responsible, financially responsible for any of our children or our grandchildren, of which we have 10. And so now we're in the saving. We do have an answer also here on Facebook. Um, we have a mom, a stay-at-home mama with a toddler who is also in grad school, pivoting into a new area of her career.
Oh yeah. I'm very familiar with that. My daughter was sitting in my lap while I was in doing my MBA years ago. Okay. So let's talk about what the problem is that we're possibly seeing as a mom. We have the mental load of financial uncertainty. And again, we talk about, am I doing enough? So the tension is providing now versus preparing for the future. Do I save for my kids' college? Do I save for my retirement? What do I do with my aged parents? Do I put them in a home? Can I afford to put them in a home? All of these things that we're considering. And it brings a weight of guilt and exhaustion because what we want to do is we want to give our family what they need today, which could be experiences, security, some joy, but we're balancing that with what am I supposed to do to prepare for the future? And I want to really emphasize to us that whatever choice you make is the choice you make. I don't want us to have any guilt about the decision that we make. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can help to alleviate the guilt that you're feeling. Because the thing is, we can only do one thing in the season of life that we're in. And so we weigh the options and we choose the best thing for us based on where we are.
Dr. Sev, this is so important. It's such great and important information. I want to make sure that we get that lovely framework that you're coming. But one of the questions that was coming up as you were speaking for me was, you know, we talk about kind of cycles. And so you're talking about preparing for the future, and you mentioned, you know, saving for even for your parents, for our elders. Isn't part of that also looking for making sure that our children don't have to make those decisions too?
Yes, and that's where the tension comes from, right?
Mhm.
Because we have lots of questions depending on where we are in our life cycle and the season we're in. We're going to have lots of different questions for our situation. And the good thing about this framework is it helps you identify all the things and then determine this is where I am. What do I need to focus on right now? What is my capacity right now? And that will help us to focus on the thing that is screaming for attention right now.
Mm.
So, because here's the thing too, tension and the all the things that's swirling around our brain will cause us to become deregulated because we're trying to win at everything simultaneously. And we can't. As much as we think we're a superwoman, right? We
We
can't.
are, we are magical. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And as women, we are. nurturers. So we want to make sure our family's fine. We want to make sure we are fine. And so we want to satisfy all the questions, but we really can't. And so what we need to do is create a way to identify those things so that we can figure out what's the best approach. So I'm going to be sharing what I call the enough filter. Let me make sure I'm on the right page here. And it's a framework for financial clarity. We're going to name the noise, the thing that's swirling around our head. We're going to decide, now that I've named the noise, which ones are now, which ones are future driven. And then we're going to decide, what is my capacity to manage the things that I have in front of me? And based on that, I am going to choose the one I'm focusing on. And then when the chaos starts to raise its head, am I doing enough? Then we'll practice that grounding activity to help us calm and say, yes, I'm doing enough because I'm doing the best I can with the resources that I have right now.
All
So let's
right.
walk through those, in detail, those steps. And before I do that, here's why we should name the voice, the noise. When I don't have clear directions, everything feels urgent. When I can't identify what matters most, everything demands my attention. Can anyone relate to that?
100%.
You know, because when everything is coming at us and we try to do everything, then panic sets in. But if we can clearly identify the noise, then we can tackle the issue at hand. So let's jump into the framework. Step one, what is your specific am I doing enough question? It could be, and these are some examples, saving enough for retirement. Am I saving enough for retirement? I have an issue with the financial community that says you need $2 million to retire. My mom is retired and she doesn't need 2 million. She's living well. So I would say tune out that noise and think about what your retirement would look for, what it is that you are looking for in retirement and what you want in retirement. Because it could mean you downsize your home, you have a smaller home. It could mean you want to rent an RV and drive all over the country. It could mean you live in a different country where your dollars go further. So your retirement is your retirement. And I'm just using this as one example because this may not be your noise. Your noise may be, am I doing enough for my kids? Am I putting them in enough sports activities? Am I socializing them to things that will help them do well later in life? It could be anything. But whatever it is, it helps that we name the thing. Because when we do that, all the others take a backseat. And that's the purpose here, is what is the pressing thing that others can take a backseat? You're not getting rid of it. You're saying, I'm saving for retirement now, and the kids' college fund, I will look at that 2 years from now. Because you can't save, you can't borrow for retirement, but the kids can get loans and grants and other things for school. So it could be that, if that's the tension. It could be paying down debt fast enough. Am I paying it fast enough? Who determines what's fast enough? You do, right? So the things that we have to be careful of is that we don't compare ourselves to other people or to what other people are doing, because a lot of your neighbors are funding their lifestyle with debt. So if we
Yeah.
compare ourselves, we don't know what they're doing. We don't know why they're buying a new boat. So we
Yeah.
have to be very careful, right?
So the first part of your framework is to name what your am I doing enough question is. Um,
Yes.
and then the second part is the naming the noise, or is that incorporated in that?
No, the naming the noise is the first part.
The first part.
So
Okay.
you're naming what it is. So you're going to say, okay, my tension right now. And I'm also going to be showing a practical example of going through the
Okay.
framework.
I just for time, I want everybody that's on Facebook Live to get just a snippet, and then when we go into the private, we'll get more of the framework if that's okay, because we're going to run really tight on time if we're not careful.
Okay.
So,
So
yes.
let's go to the to step come back, come back. Step number two. Um, so this is where now we're saying what is now and what do they need in the future. So what do they need right now to feel secure? Maybe you went through a divorce and your kids need to feel a sense of community, a sense of stability for your future. What's the minimum viable action that moves you forward? So these aren't competing priorities, they're sequenced. So what is the thing that you're going to work on now versus the thing that you will look at later? And then in step three, based on what you've identified right now as the thing that deserves your focus, let's work on those things. So it could be building an emergency fund, tackling a specific debt, starting small with retirement contributions. I started with $25. So it's, don't despise small beginnings. Start with wherever you are and naming the thing, okay? Naming the thing, determining where it is in your season, and then what do I need to prioritize based on my capabilities? And then
I
number
love that.
four,
Hmm.
when am I doing enough hits? Because when you make the decision, the questions are going to come. So just because you made a decision doesn't mean it went away. So now the grounding practice is putting your hand on your heart. And when that question comes up, what it does is it tells your body, calm down, you're doing enough. And it interrupts the anxiety loop. It could be you could do this anywhere, a few seconds, just practicing that grounding practice to say, I'm doing enough. I've made the decision based on my capability. This is what I'm doing. So I'm going to go show you now what it looks like in practice, right?
Okay, they're not you're not advancing. We're still on the cover slide. I don't know
Oh,
if you're changing your slides. Do
yes,
you
I
want to
am.
do you want to close it and restart it?
Yeah, what is that? Um, all right, let's see. Is it still showing
Yeah.
the cover slide?
Hmm.
Wow.
Technology.
Yeah.
It's
When it
always
works, it
something.
works. When it doesn't,
It just doesn't.
okay, let's see if I can go back. And I am
Maybe
on,
if you scroll to it. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, you were going through all these parts and we were missing it.
yes. Yeah, next time I'll put it on through PowerPoint
Yeah.
because I'm hoping that it's going to advance now. Okay, maybe if I leave it full screen, do that.
I
Are
don't
you
know.
seeing it the screen now?
We see what this looks like in practice.
Are you seeing that? Okay. All right. So what I've done is I've taken a compilation of some of my clients and put some things together. So this is Sarah. She's 42. She has two kids. She works full time. Her noise is I'm not saving enough for retirement. The season she's in is kids are in elementary school and her budget is tight. Her priority that she's deciding on is to start contributing $50 per month to her. And the release that she's gotten from making that decision is college savings can wait 2 years. So you're going through that and you're deciding again your situation. What is the noise that that is presenting itself? And what season am I in? What is it that where am I right now? What's my capability? And then determining a priority And then the other things you relook at, you'll reassess at a later date. I'm going to try to go to the next one. I'm hoping it will take.
Mhm. Yep.
You
Yep.
see
It
it?
switched.
Okay.
Yes.
The key takeaway here is that financial calm isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what matters now. Despite what's the shouting, despite what society says, enough is defined by your season, not someone else's highlight reel. And where you are is exactly where you are, and that's your starting point. Not, I should be further along, not, why did I make that decision? Where you are is where I encourage you to start because feeling guilty doesn't really help anything. It creates more anxiety. And I know the feelings will come up, but when it does, do that grounding practice.
Yes.
Remind your body, hey, I'm doing enough. This is my capacity, and I'm working to my capacity. And then make a decision. If you need to reassess and make a different decision, that's okay too. You're not bound by the decision you just made if you find that something else works. But take yourself through that process over and over again, deciding what it is. What do I work on? What's my capacity for this season right now? And when the questions arise, do that grounding practice. And that should help you, solidify that you're on the right track.
I love this so much. That was such a beautiful talk about what's right for you. And that
Yes.
is how you and I, our work leads from. Is that the end of your presentation?
Well, I had
Is there another? I'm sorry. I
no, that's
I
okay because I was
didn't mean
going
to
to do
rush you through.
homework.
Let's go. Yes, let's
Oh
go.
yeah, I wanted to give some homework
Okay.
because I wouldn't be a teacher if I didn't give homework. so,
Let's
so what
go.
I want them to do right now, if you're listening, is to write down your specific enough. And write down as many as you can. And then as you're writing them, answer two questions. What do I need to do now? And what can I put off for later?
Yes.
Okay. And then the third question the third thing you're going to do is you're going to pick one of your now, the things you've identified for now that fits the season that you're in.
Yes.
And then when the things that you've put off for the future tries to clamber back in, do your grounding practice. This is what I've chosen to do. This is my capacity. So that's your
Awesome.
homework. And here's a bonus challenge. Notice when you feel the urge to compare yourself to someone else's finances.
Every day.
Yeah, okay. So
Mhm.
pause and remind yourself that's
Yeah.
their season. This is mine. Okay. And I know it's hard to do with social media and all the facade you see, all those things. Don't believe everything you see on social media. That's their season. This is mine. That's it. Simple, doable, and it will help you integrate what you learned here today. That's my prayer.
Oh, that is a beautiful prayer. Thank you. I love it so much. Well, I mean, it kind of makes available what many people don't see for themselves. Yeah. So I hope you all have your homework. And Severine, if you would stop your share and we can come back into this room together. That was so helpful. I wanted you to stop your share so I could see you. Um, um, one of the things that came up for me is, that what's enough for you, that kind of landing in your space, what's right for you, because a lot of times, and I hear mostly a lot from my clients, what other people are doing, or what are people going to think, or you know this person has all of this buttoned up for their kids, or they have savings and I don't. And feeling really behind, and that feels bad. So I really like how you talk about let's start from right here, where you are right now. What's the next best thing for you and prioritizing that. Um, the homework is great and the grounding practice so available. Just hand over chest, that pause. I think it's magical. I like that word, by the way, magic. Um,
Parents are going to say, that's not what you need to do with your kids. Or, all those voices are going to keep coming. They always tell
yeah,
us what they think we should be doing, but we know what's best, right? Because
for
we are in the
ourselves.
situation. Yes. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. So I want to thank you so much for being with us here for this Facebook Live and the Wonder Mama Coffee Chat. This is our seventh time meeting on Wednesdays at noon with different guests. And this is the first time we've had this kind of conversation. So I really appreciate you. And for those, so do you have any parting thoughts, things to say to the world at large before we go into a private conversation in the Wonder Mama community?
Yeah, I just want to remind everyone that you are beautifully and wonderfully designed to do what you're doing. As a mom, nobody can do what you do as a mom. And you were given the gift of kids because you can manage it. So I don't want anybody to walk away from here feeling that they're less than, because society makes us feel like we're less than. All the voices that keep coming. Well, you didn't put your children in soccer, and why would you not do that? That's what everybody else is doing. Or you didn't give them piano lessons, or you didn't do whatever. What you're doing and the capacity that you have, the who you are is enough. So I want you to hear that real clearly because the voices will come, but I want you to hear that you are enough and what you're doing is the best you can with the information that you have that can apply to your season.
I love it. Um, Dr. Sev, thank you so much. And for those of you who would like to know more, I know that we have Dr. Sev Talks Money podcast. And I also know you have a school community where you support people. What's that called?
It is a community just for women, and it's called the Wealth Warriors Community.
Mm.
On school. And we talk about things like this because we don't do to-dos at all. We talk about capacity, talk about what can you do based on where you are, and forget about society. It's a closed group. Don't make it public because we want to make sure you're comfortable talking about money. Money should be the language of everyday, not just the language of the elite, because
I,
money operates the same way for everyone. So I want to demystify money and make it an everyday language. Like you didn't go to the movies and you're like, oh, did you see that movie? I want us to talk about money like that. Man, can you believe it? I found this ETF. And I put $20 in. I can't wait to see what it looks like 5 years from now. That's, I know I'm a nerd, but that's how I want us to be with our money.
love it. I think it should be that easy. And thank you for the work that you do. So besides those two things, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Because I will definitely include it in the notes that after we finish all up, I'll put some notes along with this video on Facebook. But I would love for you to share with that with me.
Yeah, if they're on LinkedIn, that's where I spend a lot of time when I'm not in school, is on LinkedIn, and you just find me, Severine. I'm probably one of few Severines that is on LinkedIn. So you can find me there. And of course, my website is Sev Talks Money. It's SEV Talks Money. And from the website, you can link to all my other social media.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. I hope that you loved this, and I want to thank you so much for spending time with Dr. Sev and I today. Um, we're going to pause this conversation now, but the dialogue will continue inside the Wonder Mama community for a private Q&A with our members for deeper conversation in a safe space. So if this conversation supported you, And you can follow here on Facebook. We are here live every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And this week we started posting the audio files from these talks on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. So thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next week with our next incredible guest, Dr. Stephanie Johnson.